If you grew up in the late 2000s or early 2000s, you probably remember Phineas and Ferb, the endlessly creative stepbrothers who turned every summer day into a wild adventure. The show was bright, fast, and full of jokes, with a formula that always ended with Candace trying and failing to bust her brothers. But there's a story that's been whispered about in lost media circles, a story that never made it to TV. Fans call it Day 105, and those who claim to know the truth say it's the one episode that was never meant to be found. I first heard about it from a friend who was obsessed with the show and the mysteries behind it. He told me that Day 105 was more than just a rumor. According to him, it was a real episode, created during the show's original run, but pulled before it ever aired. The story goes that the episode was discovered on an old hard drive, hidden in a folder marked Do Not Air. Only a handful of people have ever seen it, and those who have say it's nothing like the rest of the series. The episode supposedly starts like any other. Phineas and Ferb are in the backyard, brainstorming their next big project. The animation is a little rougher than usual, the colors slightly off, but at first it just feels like an early draft. Phineas suggests building a time machine to see what the last day of summer will be like. Ferb nods and they get to work, the familiar montage playing as they weld, hammer, and assemble their latest invention. But as the episode goes on, things start to feel strange. The music fades, replaced by a low, unsettling hum. The sky is a dull gray instead of the usual bright blue, and the neighborhood is eerily quiet. Candace tries to call their mom, but the phone only plays static. Perry the platypus disappears early in the episode, and Dr. Doofenshmirtz is nowhere to be seen. Phineas and Ferb finish the time machine and step inside. The screen flickers, and suddenly they're standing in their backyard, but everything is different. The grass is dead, the trees are bare, and the house looks abandoned. The boys call out for Candace, but there's no answer. They wander through the empty house, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The familiar background music is gone, replaced by the hum that's been building since the beginning. Eventually they find Candace in her room, staring out the window. She doesn't react when they call her name. Her eyes are wide and empty, and she whispers, "It's always the last day." The boys try to talk to her, but she just repeats the same phrase over and over. The episode lingers on her face as the screen flickers with static. Phineas and Ferb exchange worried glances, unsure what to do. They try to leave Candace's room, but the hallway seems longer than before, stretching on and on with doors that lead nowhere. The colors are even more washed out now, and the hum grows louder, vibrating through the walls. The boys call for their parents, for Perry, for anyone, but the house remains silent. Every clock they pass is stuck at the same time, 10:05, and the calendar on the wall reads Day 105 in shaky handwriting. They make their way back outside, hoping to find something familiar. But the neighborhood is empty. The inventions from past episodes are scattered around the yard, rusted and broken, half buried in the dead grass. Phineas tries to fix the time machine, but the controls are scrambled, the numbers spinning wildly. Ferb checks the blueprints, but the pages are blank, the ink smeared and unreadable. Suddenly the sky darkens, and a cold wind blows through the yard. The hum becomes a chorus of whispers, voices overlapping and repeating the same words. It's always the last day. It's always the last day. The boys run back inside, but the house is different now. Rooms are missing, doors lead to empty closets, and the walls are covered in strange symbols. Candace is gone, her room empty except for a single note on the bed. Don't forget. The episode cuts to a series of quick, jarring flashes. Phineas and Ferb running through endless hallways. Candace's face in the window. The time machine sparking and glitching. The neighborhood dissolving into static. The boys try to hold hands, but their fingers slip through each other as if they're fading away. The hum is deafening now, and the screen flickers with static. According to the legend, the episode doesn't end there. Some people claim that if you keep watching, you'll see a single frame of Phineas and Ferb standing in the empty backyard, their faces blank, their eyes wide and pleading. Others say the screen flickers one last time, showing the calendar with every day crossed out, except for day 105. The credits roll in silence with no music, just the low hum that's been building since the beginning. I tried to find proof of day 105, a clip, a screenshot, anything. But every time I got close, the trail went cold. Lost media forums are filled with people searching for the episode, trading stories and theories, but no one has ever produced a full recording. Some claim to have found old hard drives at garage sales or in thrift stores. But the footage is always corrupted, the audio warped and filled with static. I kept searching, hoping to find someone who could confirm the story, or at least explain where it came from. I messaged old animators, scoured fan forums, and even reached out to people who claimed to have worked on Phineas and Ferb in the early days. Most never replied, or just laughed off my questions, but one night I got an anonymous email. The subject line was blank, and the message was short. Some days are better left forgotten. Attached was a single image, a blurry screenshot of Phineas and Ferb in the empty backyard, their faces half lit by the gray sky. The quality was terrible, but I recognized the scene from the stories. In the background, the inventions were rusted and broken, and if you looked closely, you could just make out the outline of Candace in the window, her eyes wide and empty. I stared at the image for a long time, feeling a chill run down my spine. Was it real, or just a clever fake? I couldn't tell, but I saved it anyway. After that, the dreams started. I'd find myself wandering through endless hallways, the walls covered in strange symbols, the hum growing louder with every step. Sometimes I'd see Phineas and Ferb at the end of the hall, their faces blank, their eyes pleading for help. Other times I'd see Candace in her room, whispering, "It's always the last day." I'd wake up sweating, the sound of the hum still ringing in my ears. I stopped searching for the episode after that. Every time I thought about it, I'd feel a wave of unease, as if something was warning me to leave it alone. But the story kept spreading. More people posted about their own experiences, strange dreams, corrupted files, TVs turning on by themselves late at night, always to a screen filled with static and the faint sound of the hum. Some fans started to believe that Day 105 wasn't just a lost episode, but a kind of curse, a story that infects anyone who hears about it, making them see things that aren't there, dream things they can't explain. Others said it was a metaphor for the fear of summer ending, a way for the show's creators to explore the anxiety of growing up and running out of time. But no one could explain the details that kept cropping up, the static, the empty house, the sense that something was watching from the shadows. Now whenever I see an old Phineas and Ferb rerun, I feel a little uneasy. I remember the stories, the image in that email, the dreams that still haunt me. And I wonder if the episode is still out there, waiting for someone new to find it. I wish I could say the nightmares faded, that the story of Day 105 eventually became just another creepy internet rumor. But the truth is, it's always there, lurking in the back of my mind. Sometimes when I'm alone in a quiet room, I'll hear the faint hum that filled the background of that episode, or the echo of Candace's voice whispering, "It's always the last day." I'll turn on the TV late at night and find the screen flickering, and for a split second, I'll see the empty backyard, the inventions rusted and broken, and Phineas and Ferb's faces staring back at me. I've learned to live with it, in a way. I don't talk about the episode anymore, and I avoid anything to do with lost media, but every so often someone will bring it up, a friend, a stranger online, even a random post on social media. The details are always the same. The lost episode, the static, the empty house, the sense that something is watching from the shadows. And every time, I feel that old fear creeping back in, cold and sharp as the sound of a summer day that never ends. Some people say the episode is still out there, hidden on an old hard drive in someone's attic, or buried deep in the archives of a forgotten server. Others believe it's just a story, a cautionary tale about the fear of growing up and the sadness of letting go. But those of us who've seen the images, who've heard the hum in the dark, know better. We know that some stories have a way of sticking with you, of changing the way you see the world. Now, whenever I see Phineas and Ferb on TV, I hesitate before watching. I remember the empty house, the static, the way Candace's eyes seem to look right through me. I wonder if the episode is still waiting for someone new to find it, someone new to carry the story forward. And I wonder if somewhere out there, Phineas and Ferb are still trapped in that endless day, building inventions no one will ever see, calling out for help that never comes. So if you ever hear about Day 105, or find yourself tempted to search for lost episodes late at night, remember my story. Some things are better left lost. Some episodes are better left unwatched. And some days, no matter how much you want them to last, are better left forgotten. Because once you've heard the hum, once you've seen those empty eyes in the static, you'll never look at Phineas and Ferb or your own summer the same way again. I still get messages from people who stumble across the legend for the first time. They always start the same way. Curiosity, a little skepticism, maybe even a joke about how a cartoon could be so unsettling. But after a while, the tone changes. They ask if I've ever really seen the episode, if the dreams ever stop, if the feeling of being watched ever goes away. I never know what to tell them. I want to say it's all just a story, that it can't hurt you if you don't believe in it. But I know better. Sometimes I wonder if the episode is more than just a lost piece of animation. Maybe it's a kind of test, a way to see who's willing to look too closely, to dig too deep. Maybe it's a warning, a reminder that some things are meant to stay hidden. Or maybe it's just a story that got out of control, spreading from one person to the next, growing darker and more twisted with every retelling. But every so often I'll hear from someone who claims they've found a copy, an old hard drive, A corrupted file, a link that only works once before disappearing forever. They always say the same thing. The episode is worse than they imagined. The colors are wrong, the sounds are distorted, and Phineas and Ferb's faces haunt their dreams for weeks afterward. Some say they can't watch the show anymore, that the theme song makes them uneasy. Others say they hear a faint hum when they turn off the TV at night. I try not to think about it too much. I keep my lights on, my curtains closed, and my TV unplugged when I'm not using it. I avoid lost media forums, and I don't go looking for stories about cursed episodes. But the legend of Day 105 is always there, waiting in the background, a shadow at the edge of my vision. If you're reading this, maybe you're curious too. Maybe you think it's just a story, something to laugh about with your friends. But if you ever find yourself alone at night, with the sound of static in your ears and the feeling that someone is watching you from the dark, remember what I've told you. Some episodes are better left lost. Some stories are better left untold. And if you ever see Phineas and Ferb standing in an empty backyard, their eyes wide and empty, the inventions rusted and broken around them, turn off the TV. Walk away. Don't look back. Because in Day 105, the real nightmare isn't what you see on the screen. It's what follows you when the episode ends. I wish I could say there's a way to break the spell, to shake off the feeling that Day 105 leaves behind. But the truth is, once you know the story, it's hard to forget. It lingers in the quiet moments, in the flicker of a screen, in the uneasy silence that settles just before you fall asleep. I've learned to live with it, to keep my distance from old cartoons and lost media. But the memory is always there, waiting. Sometimes I'll catch myself glancing at the TV, half expecting to see Phineas and Ferb's eyes staring back at me from the static. Other times, I'll hear a faint hum, like the one that filled the background of that episode, and I'll freeze, heart pounding, until I convince myself it's just the refrigerator or the pipes in the wall. But deep down, I know better. I know that some stories have a way of retching out, of finding you no matter how far you run. I've talked to others who feel the same. Some have tried to track down the episode, convinced that if they can just see it for themselves, the mystery will finally make sense. But every time, the trail goes cold. The files are corrupted. The hard drives are blank. The links disappear as soon as you click them. It's as if the episode doesn't want to be found. Or maybe as if it's waiting for the right person to find it. So if you ever hear about Day 105, or if you find yourself drawn to stories about lost episodes and hidden secrets, remember this. Curiosity can be dangerous. Some things are better left alone, no matter how tempting they seem. And if you ever see a flash of static and a pair of wide, empty eyes in the corner of your screen, don't look too closely. Don't listen to the hum. Don't try to remember the details, because some episodes aren't just stories. Some episodes are warnings, and some nightmares, once they find you, never really let you go. So turn off the TV, close your laptop, and let the story fade. Trust me, there are some secrets you don't want to uncover, and Day 105 is one of them.